You know, I'm excited about this today, Winston, because this is our, now, you know what, I was going to say it's our first guest, but technically, we will have an episode that comes out before this one that also has a guest.
Oh, well.
So...
to the listener, but for you, the experience is new.
That is correct.
So this is why you're excited.
This is our first time having someone sit on the sofa and join us for an episode, which I think is kind of fun, you know?
It's great, especially because it's Joe.
We'll find out how fun it is.
It's
at the
Joe.
end.
I love Joe.
We love Joe. We love Joe. Joe, I'm not gonna introduce you, okay?
Cool. Yeah,
it's not that type of podcast where it's like, you know, Joe Leavitt is a 8-time world champion bull rider. You're like, we don't want to do that kind of stuff, right?
Good.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
That would be cool though. If he was a bull rider, we'd introduce him.
That would be cool.
For sure, if he was a bull rider, but he's not.
No.
He's just a common man with uncommon dreams, right? This is how it's going to be,
This
Joe.
might be the wrong podcast then.
Here's why we wanted to have you on, Joe.
All right.
You know, Winston and I have been talking a lot about how do we become better men? How do we become better husbands, better fathers? How do we build deeper friendships? But also, how do we become more resourceful? How do we learn how to do more things that we want to learn how to do and do them well? And so one of the fun things that we came up with was we both love grilling, cooking, smoking, those types of things. You know, I would say Winston is probably more skilled than I am.
I don't even know where Winston's skill level is, but I guarantee you that that's correct.
It's not hard to imagine that he's more skilled at it than I am.
Yes.
And I feel like you have a pretty deep knowledge of my skill level.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time I use my grill, I FaceTime you.
Yeah.
And
or if I'm there, I just say move.
Move. Your company's barbecue guy. Move.
That's right.
Yeah. And so we thought it'd be fun to have you on and kind of talk about, barbecue, grilling, smoking, getting better with the grilled meats. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is something that a lot of dudes enjoy.
Yeah.
We want to be good at it. But for whatever reason, I think there are some of us out there, I would throw myself in this group, that we're just not very good at it. We're not skilled. We're not knowledgeable. And as we were dreaming up, man, who do we know who's really good at grilling meats? Winston said, well, Carrie Bringle, of course. And I was like, well, no, hold on, wait a minute. We got to have our buddy Joe on.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
anything I told there was a falsehood.
No, it's not a falsehood. No. Not at all. It was Joe from the beginning. I will say, I think it is upon us to learn.
I love the way he speaks. I think it's upon us.
It's upon us.
Yeah.
To you in the nuclear family, you're like the grill guy. If I came home and I was like, hey, Rachel, what time is the pork butt coming off tonight? It would be weird. That would be weird.
Yeah,
but
I think,
I'm not gender stereotyping.
No, you're not.
So there's a lot of women out there that love to smoke ribs.
Yes.
And yet, here we are.
Right.
Right. So I think it's like, you know what? I got the ribs, and then everybody else has the sides and the different things. Or I have the protein. Let's call it. Saying protein makes it sound so official and cool.
Yeah. No,
it
for
really
sure.
does.
I don't think you're. I think you're on target with the stereotypes in which we've kind of created that men are the masters of the fire. It's what we do. It goes back to the caveman days.
Yeah.
Bring something home, grill it up. But I think you're also not alone in. There are probably guys listening to this that feel very inadequate in this area.
Intimidated. I'm intimidated by it.
Yeah,
for sure.
and I think it's also an area they feel like if they ask how to do it, that they are showing a sign of weakness.
Oh, we are already getting vulnerable, and I love this.
So I think it's
Dadgum ego. Meat ego.
Yeah, and so I think there's a lot of guys that are like that. I was having a conversation with a guy at work, and he's like, I need you to come teach me how to do it. Like it's a goal of his to learn this. He has some goals to learn some other just like Like he doesn't know how to change his oil. Like he wants to do these things that like you as a man should know how to do, and he doesn't. He was never taught. He didn't. Maybe it wasn't modeled as a child growing up. But I think I don't think you guys are alone in that, and I think it's. I want it to be a conversation where guys just feel like when they have a skill they don't know, they need to learn it. Just ask somebody.
Yeah.
And so this is. And for me, I didn't know it when I first started.
I was gonna say, is it true that nobody is like born a grill master, right?
Well, sure. Yeah.
You'd have to try and learn and practice, and you'd have to start learning how to light a grill.
Right. I had a desire. I had kind of like messed around a little bit at home with some ideas, saw grill shows on Food Network and wanted to recreate that. And then I kind of intersected with a guy who became my grill sensei. You know, the guy who I called.
Man.
The first time I cooked
Grill
ribs,
guru.
I probably called him like 6 times during that 5-hour cook, and it was like they're doing this right now. And so he would talk me down off the ledge of like, you're gonna be fine, you're good. But having that person that's somewhere ahead of you is great. And YouTube is so good for grilling and for all this stuff. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of grilling videos and experts who can walk you step by step through it.
Yeah.
How did you? I'm curious, like how you even got to this place, because you and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Longer than he's been grilling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
there you
for
go.
sure. I mean, I don't. Has it been 20 years?
That we've known each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Over 20 years.
And I mean, we've liked each other for probably 3 or 4 of those years.
That's fair.
That's
It's like a marriage.
no. Well, wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Sorry, Rachel.
Don't listen to that.
Different,
Hurt people. Anyway, but we've known each other for a long time. You've not always.
Wait,
been,
y'all liked each other the last 4 years? Like you're currently liking
No,
each
it's
other?
kind of there was
like you currently like each other?
There's a middle portion.
I am making a joke. Joe and I hit it off kind of from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like I just to give a little context, and I'm not going to make Joe cry here, okay?
How do you know?
But well, I don't know. Maybe I will. But
I'm
you
an
and I,
emotional guy.
he's right on the edge, right?
Winston,
now.
you and I have talked about the five or 4
Dysfunctions.
quarters
Oh yeah.
versus 100 pennies.
I heard
He
that.
used
I heard that on the
It's
very
really
first
good.
episode. It
It's
was
a
very good.
really good analogy.
Yeah.
And I consider
Thanks for
myself that type of guy. I only have maybe 4 or 5 really, like, I call or talk to these men about everything going on in my life. Joe is
Number 7.
Joe is barely outside of those 5.
Golly.
Joe is 1,000% in
Wow.
those 5. So Joe and I have known each other for a long time. But you have not always been as, I would call you, passionate, obsessive almost, in a great way, about grilling, smoking, using fire, using charcoal, using wood to cook things for your family and for other people. But it hasn't always been that way. Like, how did you even get passionate about this stuff?
Yeah, I think it started, like I said, just seeing it on TV is probably how it started with, I think it used to be a show called Grill Masters or something, made me want to go out and just try to cook some things, and started with a very inexpensive char griller, 2 dual cooker. It had gas on one side, and on the other side you could use charcoal. And for Father's Day one year, Julie got me the firebox that you could attach to it, so it made it like a little offset smoker. But the metal is so thin on those things that you can't control it. The temperature bounces around. They're horrible. And that's what I was cooking on when I first came in contact with my barbecue sensei. And I wanted to, and this is a guy who cooked competitively, cooked with like the big Bob Gibson's team down in Alabama, would go to New York for the Big Apple Barbecue Fest and cook with them there. And so a guy who really knew his stuff, and he could tell that I was a youngling, that I wanted to learn the ways of the smoke.
A Padawan.
Yes. And so I think it's Padawan, not Patty.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was thinking hamburger.
I'm a redneck. Padawan.
And so he became that barbecue sensei for me, my phone a friend, the guy who was always there for me. So that was probably about 12 years ago or so. I kind of took that next step, and then he suggested the next grill that I buy.
12 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're like veteran tier now. It's trying to.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're like, even as as you know,
You've got stuff memorized.
He's a certified KC barbecue judge, right?
I mean, that's very recent, but yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, but he is. He's a certified Kansas City barbecue judge.
And you could do that. You could sit through that class.
well,
and
I know,
do it,
but it just shows some level of intensity. Like, I don't have that. I don't have that desire. I want to be able to cook great things.
Yeah.
But like your passion for it, I think, has gone to a next level over the last few years.
You know, years ago, 12 years ago, it was cook 5-6 times a year, and then it just started, kind of getting a little more intense, I guess. And I consider myself like a barbecue enthusiast, at-home enthusiast. Like I do not call myself a pitmaster. I think that is reserved truly for guys that are in that kind of 10,000 hours, like true expert master at their craft. And I'm good, but I'm not that great. But I know myself. I know enough to be dangerous around the grill for sure.
How often, you said 5-6 times a year back then, but like how often are you cooking now?
Ideally, we're cooking at least once a week on like the smoker at some level, and that's firing up charcoal and either cooking a long cook or cooking something hot and fast over live fire at least once a week. But there's other contraptions too that I consider just outside cooking.
Oh yeah.
And those are used other times of the week as well.
Now I do think we should get on the same page in terms of terminology.
Okay.
Right now, so like I'm hearing, you mentioned protein earlier. I think that is next level language. When you start talking about like, okay, what's your protein? And you also, something I picked up on you over the last few years, it's like your cook.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, what am I going to go grill? But it's like, what's my cook going to be today?
Yeah.
Right? Am I using that properly?
Yeah, I guess so. And
Wait, can you say it in a different
Yeah,
in a different
use
sentence?
it how you would use it.
What are we cooking?
No.
Yeah. I did a cook this weekend.
Did
See?
a cook?
See?
Yeah.
It's become a subject.
Yeah.
Not a verb. Like it's what's my cook going to be?
Wow.
Or I did a cook.
Yeah,
this
I
weekend.
did a pork cook. I did
Yeah.
a shoulder cook. Did a caveman style cook. That kind of stuff.
And that's
So,
common language. I hear that from other
I think
people
so.
who are really deep in it.
yeah, and I just
You got to talk like you know what you're doing.
That's half of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm doing a cook this weekend.
So okay, if we're thinking about
Okay.
cooks, okay, because I think here in the South we've got there are kind of some circumstances that come to mind that would be common for men to want to do a cook. So I can think about game day, obviously college football,
Yep.
4th of July, some type of family celebration, a birthday party, something like that. Those are very common cook opportunities. Do you ever think about, I know you're a football fan, University of Michigan fan, although we're still having him on here, but I mean, you've been here in the South for a long time. I think you got here as fast as you could. You love being here. Do we consider Joe a Southern gentleman?
Oh, well, yeah, you liked Michigan until like yesterday.
But he was born and raised here.
That's fair. I was
So, I mean,
born and raised here,
Yeah.
Right.
and I no longer follow them.
That's true. But wow. What?
Yeah.
But we went into this real deeply, Charles Woodson. So I would say this. How about this? You can be a Michigan fan, past or present, and still be very much a Southern
Okay,
gentleman.
all right,
So-
we're gonna
And
count you in.
So what's the time served in the South to become a Southern gentleman? Do you think?
I think it's the speed of adoption.
I
So I don't
agree.
know that it's
I
time.
agree.
You
I
could live
agree.
here for a long time and still
never-
hold on to Jersey.
Okay.
I agree. Like we can think of our friends Manit and Vivek, and I think Vivek would say he's a Southern gentleman.
Yes.
They have they live here. They have
Yep.
roots here.
Yep.
They've adopted the culture.
They
love
say
it.
y'all.
Yeah, they say y'all.
Yeah.
That's a
and
big
so,
step.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
huge step. So I think
They say cook.
no.
I can't even say it in a sentence, y'all.
Well, that's
Gee.
but
I can't
that's
wait
the
to.
lingo.
I'm working on it though. This is why we're here. This is why
If,
Joe's
you,
here.
if you want to get good at this, I think you got to talk the talk.
So okay, so you have this thing on the calendar with other people.
Yep.
How do you figure out what cook you're going to cook?
What protein you're gonna do for your cook?
Sure. Well, I think there's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
You know,
I love this.
Well, I mean, it's how many you're going to feed. The economy of that cook is important. Like if we're having 30 people over, that points to certain things that you're going to do that you can feed a lot of people with. And I would say that would immediately point to a pulled pork, a pork shoulder, something along those lines. And that is, just as like a little bit of an aside, that is the first protein I tell people to cook when they first start out.
It's the most forgiving.
It is the most forgiving, absolutely, because it's you got to really screw it up. You've got to get into a situation where you had a grill fire, which we had a
grill fire, 4th of July.
I have too. The fire department came.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I mean, you've got to be that level almost to screw up a pork butt. You can salvage it, and even if you overcook it and it's dry, you can pour some sauce on it, and nobody's the wiser. Yeah. So
okay, so it is a number of people.
I mean, that's one factor.
Biggest factor to decide what you cook.
Yeah, I mean some of it's, do you want to impress them? Like you're not going to impress somebody with pork more than likely.
Like neighbors you've met once, you're going to try to.
Yeah, you might want to take it up the next level. You might want to do ribs, or you might want to do chicken thighs and do like a street taco chicken thigh thing, or
I'm getting hungry. Sure,
that kind of. I mean, I don't think there's, and some of it's just what do they want. It's also just I'm not going to impose my will. Sometimes, it's like I'm going to bring this, but I don't think there's.
Do you have go-tos for one family that's coming over versus 10 dudes?
First, I rarely have people over to my house.
Man. You must not know Joe. I've known him for 20 years. I've been invited to his house like maybe 3 times.
Maybe. This is an unfair question. Who are you cooking the cooks for then?
Well, we have a large family. There's 6 of us under our roof, so we can put away some meat.
So you're kind of like, what do I feel like?
Right. And what do they feel like? A lot of times it's a request from them, like, hey, you haven't made ribs in a while. You've not made pulled pork, and pulled pork is great because I'll cook 2 shoulders, 2 butts at the same time,
and it'll last.
We'll freeze it. You can thaw. I mean, it's an easy. Then you're thawing it out and you're making tacos, nachos in a night.
Oh
it's
gosh!
Super easy.
And pork and egg omelets or like burritos the next morning.
Oh yeah, we've done some pork breakfast tacos at the golf course before.
How'd that go? Sounds like it was.
It was great. The tacos were great.
Did you bring your own?
Was that the day?
Yes, that was the day.
And then we ended up, having a little bit of a tiff that might have led.
Oh,
listen, I do think we need to tell this. We're going to tell a very abbreviated version.
Yeah, because that could be a whole
story.
episode.
That could be its whole episode.
Okay.
Here's the thing: all of our mutual friend Jeff Helton, Joe and I actually had to go see Jeff together. After playing golf together one day.
We paid a counselor.
I can't wait to get to that level of friendship with you.
Help
that
us.
we got to go
you
to
don't
the
want
certain place.
You don't want that. Beware of what you ask
over
for.
a pork breakfast?
No.
It was
It was.
That brought up something.
I don't think it was that day though, was it?
Yeah, it was that day. You brought it. It was my birthday, and we had arranged you and I and 2 of our friends to play golf together on my birthday.
Okay.
And you were kind enough to bring breakfast burritos.
Yep.
Right.
They were great.
And they were delicious. And then
Happy birthday.
we presumed to play golf. Here's what I'll say: it was a very stressful time in my life where I was. And I'm not making this up. Like, I've kept screenshots. I was getting hundreds of death threats over some COVID mess.
Oh, boy.
Some COVID stuff. Dealing with one of our events. And so I was very vocal that day with my opinions on how that was going.
Yeah.
And Joe, I think, looking back, was kindly challenging me to kind of, maybe you could look at it a little bit different way. I didn't really want to hear that.
Okay.
And maybe it wasn't the right place to offer the advice, but he was coming from a good place.
Yeah.
And he and I ended up screaming at each other in the parking lot. and calling each other some not very nice things.
Yeah. You pork butt.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just remember leaving there that day just going like, what on earth just happened?
Oh, yeah.
And we were in Helton's office the next Monday, sitting down together and go like, okay, we gotta process this.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's rich.
And Jeff's like, what do you? You guys need to come in together? Like what?
Wait, did you?
Yeah, got some stuff
Yeah,
to
we need
unpack.
some couples counseling,
Couples therapy.
Yeah, it was good.
But
Wow.
that's yeah. Okay, that's
So
a
yeah, so
side note.
sometimes
I like it.
sometimes the occasion is, you're going to make a little
It
breakfast
could be-
pork thing for your buddy's birthday.
For the on
very
the first
sweet.
tee
Yeah.
box.
That's right. That's
Everything
right.
tastes better outside, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
I
does.
don't know why.
Yeah, and I think
You
time.
seemed surprised by that just now. watching
No,
your
no,
face.
no. I completely agree. Like, I think it's like, and time and place. Like if you have a memory of a time and place where you experienced something, for example, for us, it's the fish tacos we had on our honeymoon that were cooked on this beach, the fish that we just caught, and looking back, and it was like, could there be anything better than
Yeah.
these fish tacos right now on this beach?
It's food and everything else.
Chances are I've had better fish tacos,
Right.
but never fresher. I'll say that because it was literally
And not on a beach.
not on a beach and not on your honeymoon and all the
Yeah.
things. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, but there's
Beautiful scenery, the woman
Yeah.
you love, the whole
right.
thing. Yeah.
But yeah, eating outside there is, and things that are cooked outside, eaten outside. I agree.
I've also found that if I make a sandwich for myself and you made a sandwich for me,
Mine would be so much better.
why is
agree.
it so much better if you do a cook, and then I come over, and then you come over for a cook, and we're like, no, man, no,
No, my cook
that was good.
is better than your cook.
Yeah, that's a.
But see, the cook is a little bit different. Like I think even if he came over for your cook, his cook would be better. I think there's a level of skill there
I agree.
involved.
I started with a sandwich.
Yeah, a
If
sandwich
we're talking
is a different
brisket,
thing.
I'm screwed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe wins.
that's right.
I can't cook anything. Maybe my Smashburgers.
Okay.
I would very cautiously do a taste off with Joe on that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not that dumb.
Okay, but I want to use that as a little bit of a segue,
Okay.
because one of the things that we thought it might be interesting to hear from you about is like, are there some kind of key cooks that a man should have in his toolkit, in his repertoire? I'm going to go French for a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, are there some key cooks that every man should really, if you're going to go down this path, if you want to be better at this, what are some of those, like, oh, you got to have this, you got to have this, you got to be able to do this? Are Smashburgers like one of those? I mean, I know that's not like a smoking
I think
thing.
I think you could make the argument for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Up until I'm late to the Smashburger game.
Yeah.
Like, I've had them.
Is it a trend?
I feel like it's become, like Shake Shack's been around for years, and
Yeah.
they are, and Smash Burgers, griddled burgers have been around for years. Like it's nothing new. I feel like maybe there is a little bit of a tick up in their popularity. There are
Yeah.
these maybe a few more of those burger restaurants, those competitors to Shake Shack that are just trying to make some money.
Something different.
Yeah, but
They're popping up.
I think you could say that Smash Burgers or a burger, just a signature burger for yourself, is something that a guy should be able to make. And for a long time, I was thick, juicy, give me medium rare burger. Like that's what I loved. And I tell you, there's something about that lacy edge of that Smash Burger.
Yep.
The
Just
melted cheese,
butter fried.
The super thin patty. Like to think that I will be satisfied with 2.5 ounce patties, cheese, versus like if I'm cooking a thick burger, like that starts out at like 8 ounces of meat.
Yeah.
And like but with Smash Burger, like it is so good.
We're officially putting burgers on the list.
Yeah.
I would like
Smash burgers.
Yeah, or just your
Well,
burger. Like for me
let
right
me-
now, I'm saying that's my preference.
Okay.
I'm just going to say what we are not talking about is getting a Costco size barrel of frozen patties and tossing them on the grill.
Right.
These you need to be able to craft a burger from ground beef
Ground meat,
and patty
right.
them out.
This is very convicting to me right
Yeah.
now.
You got to patty them
Because
out.
I've been to your house.
I have always I've been a Bubba Burger guy for a long time.
Oh.
That's not right. I'm not proud of it. That's a confession more than anything else right now. But
Yeah.
I'm not. Now we have made burgers from scratch,
Yeah.
ground beef, and adding your blend or whatever and getting them
Yeah.
all ready. Your little thumb pat. You do the thumb pat move.
Yeah.
You know that you do that.
sure.
You
Yeah.
do-
Here's my
you go like
question on
that. You do
burgers.
that.
Yes. I can't keep them together. What is the deal? I've tried an egg.
Like your Smashburger?
No, this is just a pattied out burger.
Okay.
Like they just kind of fall apart on me, and I don't know
What temperature are you? Are you taking them fresh out of the fridge and making them, or are they coming to room temp?
It's typically room temperature.
I think that's a problem.
Is that the problem? How do I keep my burgers together? Smashburgers are fine. That's a
Right.
different deal. But
That's an interesting question because I've never
mine kind of fall apart.
Never struggled with this.
Okay, what temperature is yours? Or do you patty them out and put them in the fridge to firm them back up?
No, I don't think so.
Do you put an egg in it?
I
breadcrumbs?
I have in my past, but I don't necessarily.
Maybe it's the meat that I'm using. The cook that I'm cooking.
What's your
Costco
grind, like the
80-20?
the organic grass fed? Like
It's the organic
which
Kirkland.
they've not had for a while lately. Like when I've been in there, I've not seen it the last couple times.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
know.
they have the Wagyu now. They're selling like the Wagyu and the bison.
Okay.
but I've
ground.
yeah. Yeah.
Is that good for a burger? I'm curious
The
about this.
Wagyu?
Yeah, I mean, like if we're buying ground beef for a burger,
Yeah.
we're normally trying to pick out like an 80-20, 85-15.
Yep.
Nothing leaner than that.
Yep.
Are these alternative grinds? Are they good for burgers?
I will tell you, we've done some Wagyu. There's a farm that's sent us some stuff, Plum Creek, and they're fantastic. And we've used their Wagyu for Smashburgers, and it's
A Plum Creek Wagyu
It's pretty-
Smashburger.
it's pretty good.
So don't go any leaner than 80-20
I mean,
with your burger. Is that true? Like, do you want?
I think a little more fat,
Is
I
good.
mean, fat is flavor.
Would you go higher?
I mean, 70-30, I think it's not for a Smashburger blend. Like if you were to go to a meat, a butcher, a local butcher, and if they had a Smashburger blend, chances are that's going to be probably in that 70-30
Interesting.
range.
Okay.
That's great.
Little fat. And that fat is going to, a lot of it's going to cook out, and it's going to just accelerate that kind of lacy, almost see-through meat
on the
at
edge.
place.
Yeah.
On the edge, and even just, it's going to give, as it cooks out, some of those
It's like
centers.
a crust to
Yeah,
it almost.
so good.
Yeah. Okay, so you got to have a good burger that
Yep.
you can make from scratch,
For
whether
sure.
that be a smash burger, a half pounder, whatever.
Yep.
What are some of those other cooks that you feel like would be?
I
you gotta have
think
this in your
number
toolkit.
one to me for a guy is a steak.
Wow, I thought you were gonna say pork butt.
I did too.
Wow.
No, I think
Threw me a curveball.
I think cooking a steak is number one for a guy. You've got to be able to do that. You got to be able to cook it at home. And once you master it, you're not going to want to have steak somewhere else. There's a steak place across
Are we
the
talking
street
filet?
here.
Or
I'm curious about
what type
this.
of cut?
Here's the thing. There are people in the barbecue live fire grilling that will say filet is the worst.
They don't
because it's
worship the filet.
It's so thin.
Yeah.
It's so lean that you're not going to get that fat flavor. So they're going to say it's ribeye or nothing. I'm not there. I still love a great filet. I think if it's cooked medium rare, it is just it's great. But I'll do ribeye, New York strip as well. I think if I'm recently I've been that kind of New York strip a lot lately. The fat isn't quite as fatty as a ribeye.
Yeah.
So it gives
Little
me
of the
just
best of both worlds, right? Yeah.
a little bit. But I love the filet. But recently within the last year, I had a chuck eye steak, which I'd never heard
Chucky?
of.
Yeah.
It is they call it a poor man's ribeye. There's two basically chuck eye steaks is what I've been told.
Chucky?
Yeah,
There's
like
two in a cow, or like
two in a cow.
Okay, two chuck eyes and a
Yeah,
cow.
so not a lot of them.
Does it come from the side?
It comes like
The loins?
between. Like I'm going to get this wrong, but it's like it's
it's gotta
between
be
the
two
fifth and sixth rib or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's in that
on either side,
right.
both sides.
But it was probably the most flavorful, and our girls were like, "This is the best steak you've ever made." It was a Wagyu steak, like it was great.
Golly,
But-
you and your
important-
fancy steaks. Where do you buy chuck eye?
You'd have to go to a butcher
Okay.
and ask for
Okay.
it. And chances are they've either done, because there's not a lot of them, it probably just gets pulled and put into grind most of the time. So it's not going to. They're not going to have a case full of chuck eyes.
There's only 2 of them.
Right. So versus the rib eyes, and there's all these are the strips or whatever.
Is that like where we get ground chuck? Probably similar part of the
chuck roast also.
Yeah, chuck roast. Okay.
Wow.
But for a steak, from me, it's how you cook it, and to me the best way to cook a steak is a reverse sear, and so for a reverse sear, for those that don't know, I think
this is where we start taking notes.
You know what that you
don't have to take notes.
I forget.
We're recording it. You don't have to take notes. You just play it back.
That's true. We can make him the first guest or the third guest or the 10th guest.
Yeah. So reverse sear.
You can probably text him too.
This can be done in either in your house. You don't even need a grill. It's better with a grill, but it can be done inside or outside. I'll walk you through my process that I'll do outside. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to fire up my smoker, and I use the grill that I primarily cook on is a ceramic cooker. It's made by Primo Ceramic Grills. It's like a big green egg, but it's made in the USA, so I like it better.
Shout out Primo.
America.
Link it.
Hey, we will. Absolutely.
Link it in the show notes. Is that what you say?
We may even have a little thing pop up on the video that slides out. It's like Primo Ceramic Grills.
Click. That's great.
And you can
click.
They're great people, made in America. And so it's same concept, ceramic cooker, like a big green egg or Kamado Joe. But I'm going to set that at about 225, 250, and I'm going to use natural lump charcoal as my heat source, and I'm going to supplement that with a wood. And I'm either going to use like an oak, hickory, pecan, something like that. Now,
Indirect.
Indirect.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to set it up at indirect cooking. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And so
you're going to have to walk me through what indirect means.
So in a direct cooking is directly over the fire. There is no barrier between the fire, the flame,
just an open grate,
and the grate and the protein.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you're going to have some kind of, in the case of the Primo, there's a ceramic deflector plate.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the case when I set up for the Primo, I've got half the grill with half that deflector plate in, and that's where I'm setting this, and then the other half is open at that point.
And then your grate goes over the top of the deflector plate?
Yep.
And then your steak, you're laying it over top of the deflector plate.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
I'm following you.
And so I'm going to cook that until I reach an internal of about 115 to 120.
Mm-hmm.
Once I
How long does that take?
So like for
At 225?
For fillets, like good thick steaks, start to finish, I can do this in an hour. So
okay.
So it's not taking you an hour and a half to get it up to
So
10.
it gets to 115 pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
And that's an hour start to, like, you're turning it, you're getting it going.
Yeah, you're twisting knobs like you're a gas grill. Pathetic.
I'm twisting the knobs.
For those of you listening and not watching.
Yeah. So
turn on.
But that's from very beginning.
Very beginning. I'm pouring the charcoal in and
Gotcha.
lighting the charcoal.
Gotcha.
It doesn't take that long. Then once I reach that temperature, I pull that steak off. I'm letting it rest. And then in the case of the Primo, I am opening up all my vents, and I am letting that other side just get screaming hot.
Deflector plates coming out?
No, because you've got charcoal still on that other side, and it's going to just start catching. You give it enough air, it's going to start catching, and I want that grill up to 600, 700, 800 degrees.
Hotter than Blue Blazes. Yeah.
And then you've got two choices. You can put a grate directly over that direct side now and cook on that grate, or in a lot of cases, I will throw the steak directly onto the coals.
No, you won't.
I will.
No way.
That is so cool.
You just throw like $30 down on the fire.
Yes. And if your coals are hot, here's the thing. I recently did a post, and our friend Bill saw the post, and he was like, "Oh, that looks great if you want ash all over your steaks."
Oh, this Bill?
That's what
you can't put any stock in.
I'm saying the same thing.
No, that's what you would think.
All right.
And that's what I thought. And if your coals are not hot enough, that's what will happen, because the coals need to be hot enough to create that sear when it hits. And when you lift it up, there's no ash on it.
Nothing on it.
It's magic. It truly is.
What?
Yeah.
No.
And so then I'm doing like 60 seconds aside, pulling it off.
My mind is blown right now.
Me too, but
That's cool.
and I don't know if I'm asking like a dumb question right now, probably, but I would think with those lump charcoals having jagged edges and points that you're not gonna get a good enough sear. It's going to be these kind of weird points that are sticking on the cut of meat.
Yeah.
I would think on a grate, you're laying it flat and you're getting those sear marks.
Yes, but it's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. I was thinking. I mean, golly, man.
When I throw it
You're
on there,
catching on.
There's hot coals, but there's also it's flames. You're throwing it into
yes. Okay.
ultimately just
A fire.
a fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
A furnace.
And how long are you doing this?
60 seconds aside.
Okay.
Really quick. That's all it takes. You're literally just getting that sear.
It's
that
so
crust.
cool though.
But you're picking up even more flavor than you would on a grate.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean it's directly
Right
on the
on
fire, and it's a pretty even sear. Now the other choice is you can put it directly on the grate. You can put a cast iron pan in there, get that thing screaming hot, put it on there, or a cast iron griddle kind of accessory that you can put in there and do the same thing.
Because at least with
phenomenal.
with cast iron, maybe one of the benefits
Totals
it's totally flat. It's full contact. With the cut of meat.
uniform sear.
Yeah.
And there's
Presentation point.
And when you're doing this, you're not pressing down. You're just literally laying it on top.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that gets you to medium rare.
Yeah.
If you go to 115 and then sear.
Yep. And so if you wanted to cook it a little bit more than that, then you wouldn't take it off earlier. Because you don't want to sear it longer than that, because then you're going to start to you'll burn it.
Yeah.
You know, if you leave it in there 3 minutes aside.
So it's the internal temp.
Yeah, you want to get that.
you sear it.
So if you've got somebody that likes it medium well, you're pulling it off at 135, 140, and then you're searing it. Yeah.
That just blew my mind.
Dude, I'm telling you, that might be
when
one of the
you're
coolest things I've
throwing
ever
your
heard.
meat down in your cook.
Hey,
when you're throwing
whoa.
your cook
Protein.
Protein.
I don't know what to say.
But I know when you say
I'm trying, guys.
We're three guys together.
Yeah,
when you
you
start
can't
saying
talk about
meat,
throwing
That's
your meat
why
around.
I'm throwing my cook,
Your protein.
your protein, down into a furnace on top of the charcoal. That's confidence. That is the most confident thing that I could do on a Saturday.
now
Kind of a showstopper too, if you got guests over.
it
Oh,
is no
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah.
It is. It's fun. It's great for content.
Yeah.
It is.
Watch this.
Yeah.
Everybody freaks.
Hey, y'all, watch this. And it's just like, hey, I'm going to sear the steaks. You guys want to come on out? And they're like, what do you do? What? Stop, Winston, don't. Rachel's screaming. She's shielding the kids.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, she's like, kids, go inside. Don't. Daddy's losing it. Like that's the stuff that'll happen. But
I'm clutching my pearls over
yeah.
here.
I bet some dude just like accidentally dropped his cook down into there. One time he was like, actually, that worked out pretty good. And that's how it
I
became.
think it started with the cavemen. I think that's how they.
Yeah,
Because
I
they
mean,
they didn't have a grate.
They didn't have grates.
Where's
threw
my
it on a
steel?
fire, man.
Hey, you mentioned a lot of accessories through there. Real quickly, we'll link it. What do you use? I'm guessing a wireless thermometer meat reader that is Bluetooth to your phone. What do
Yeah.
you use for that?
I use. There's a lot of things out there. There is a product that I've not used yet that I would like to use. I'm big on. I've become much bigger on it lately, of just trying to find American-made products.
Yeah.
When you look at electronics, as you know, it's nearly impossible.
Can't. Yeah.
It's nearly impossible. There is Thermopin is the kind of 600-pound gorilla in the instant read. Everybody that's grilling needs an instant read thermometer. So just that's not wired. That's not
You
a
just
probe.
flip it open. That's what I have, right?
Yeah,
You flip
you
it open.
Flip it open and just
Gives you
poke it in, and it gives you within
Yeah.
1 to 2 seconds. It's going to give you
Man,
what
you're
that
a purist.
what that temp is.
Yep.
All right. Now, you also have the wireless probes and wired probes.
I have the meter too.
Yeah.
meter. Yep.
That's pretty
Yep.
high tech. It's
Yep.
probably made in
Yeah, it's China. I'm assuming.
Vietnam.
Yeah. I have a meter. It's a great product. I have
Okay.
another one called Meat Stick. That's a great product.
Yeah.
And then there's a company in the United States, Kansas City, Fireboard, that I've not had the opportunity to use yet, but they are making it entirely here in the United
Wow.
States. Electronics, all the boards there, and
It's called
so,
Fireboard.
Fireboard.
Okay.
And so if you're looking for an American-made product, it is available, and they have an instant read. They have the wireless, or they have the probes as
Love
well.
it.
So, yeah.
All right, I want to get back to like cuts that or cooks that we need to have in
There
our
we go.
toolkit.
Yeah.
Smashburgers. You're saying number one for you, steak. Doing
Steak.
some type of steak.
Yep.
Are there one or two more that you feel like, okay, if you want to be well-rounded in this, whether you're a beginner, and I would say from the perspective of being a beginner, Smashburgers, a steak. Are there one or two more that you go, this would be really good to have in your toolkit?
I think what you thought was going to be number one, pork shoulder. I think is such a easy cook. It is impressive to the family when you pull off this massive chunk of meat and they're just like, you cook this. There's something cool about that. And it can feed a lot of people. And so I think that's great. Now the next level I'm probably going to, once you have some experience and you're willing to make an investment and risk it, I would say brisket.
Risk it for the brisket, baby.
Yeah. I haven't been willing to do that yet.
I just made that up. Nobody's ever thought of that.
No, your first time ever. Nope, there's not barbecue teams named it or anything. Nope. But it's expensive. Pork shoulder, you get them on sale and it's like
$6.
Yeah, it's like they're 99 cents a pound at 4th of July, and you can feed 40 people for $20
in a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
you can eat it.
Brisket's difficult, right? Like it's a challenging cook.
Yes, yeah. It's intimidating. It was intimidating for me.
Extremely intimidating.
At its root, it's pretty simple, but it's a big investment when you pick up this hunk of meat from Costco. It's 80, 90, $120
you
depending
can't
on what
mess that
is
up.
it really?
You don't want to mess that up.
Just depending on what the price
How do you
is.
fit that on the grill? Or do you kind of?
Well, it just depends. I mean, you don't want to cut it up, into like small sections. That's not good. But you can put like a little prop, like a piece of wood or maybe a brick or something under it that kind of like creates a little more room.
But it's there's no bone in a full packer.
Correct. Yeah, full packer brisket.
What's a full packer?
It's all
I've
edible.
never heard that.
That's what you're going to see at Costco. You're going to see those large, what's called a full packer. That means it has both the flat part of the brisket and the point. They're still joined together. It's a full piece of meat, and it's cryovac, so they just call it a packer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we need to go back to tier 1 with the pork butt.
Yeah,
I would like to do the brisket though someday.
Yeah,
that's like a graduate degree though.
Let's burgers, a steak, a pork butt.
Yep.
Let's say somebody dials those three in. You feel really confident that given pretty much any scenario that you're facing in terms of like hosting people, feeding people, you can dial one of those three up confidently and execute those well. What would be, let's not talk brisket, but give me like a curveball. Give me something that you go, man, not a lot of people. I mean, I feel like I hear a lot about brisket. I hear a lot about ribs, but is there something that would be a curveball that you've experienced and really enjoyed that you go, okay, if you want something different, out of the ordinary, something special, and I don't mean special like expensive, but something that you go, oh, what would be that next thing for you?
I think I would maybe go tri-tip.
Interesting.
Like I think that's a great cut. It is. You can feed a decent amount of people with a decent sized tri-tip, and it can also be utilized like pork in a lot of different ways. You can cook that and use it in tacos, or it can be just served straight up. And it's a relatively easy cook, and I think it's maybe a gateway cook to a brisket because your investment isn't as high on that. And it's becoming more and more readily available. I think I've seen them here even recently at our Costco, and then the local meat shop that I go to quite a bit has it as well.
Tri-tip. Okay, I love that.
And I would keep it simple with the tri-tip. I mean, people can get really complicated with different rubs, but just simple salt and pepper is kind of what I would do, and that's what I do on my steaks too. Just salt and pepper. If I have them in time, I will do what's called an air brine. I'll leave them sometimes overnight uncovered in the refrigerator to start to get some of that just excess moisture that's in the meat drawn out, and just put a little bit of salt and kind of put it in the fridge.
Unreal.
Yeah, and you'll come back and if you put it on like a little rack, with a plate or pan underneath it, you'll see some juices in there, and it almost just intensifies that meat flavor as well. gives you, I think, a little bit more of a umami kind of depth of flavor to the steak.
I
than
love
if you
when people say umami.
Just take it off. You can go cook a great steak by going to your meat shop, grabbing some steak, going home cooking it. But if you have that time and can just take that next step, you're not dry aging it for 40 days, but you are giving that steak a little
boost,
little boost, little intensity,
little cook boost. Debunk this one for me. Do you inject your butts the night before, or do you just put the rub on it? How do you prepare the butt? He's so easy.
He really is.
He's so easy.
He really
I
is.
get tickled at really dumb things.
I tell you what, when I first started cooking pork shoulder, I was injecting quite a bit.
Yep.
I probably not injected.
You can't see a difference?
I don't know. I think I just had some really good cooks without injecting.
Yeah.
I was like, do
yeah.
I need to do it? Okay, no, I guess I'm fine.
Okay.
Also, I've had some really good cooks with pork shoulder where I'm going low and slow and it's 225 and it takes 10 hours.
Forever.
And I've also moved almost exclusively to hot and fast.
No.
Where I'm cooking like at 325.
Really?
And it takes me about 4.5 hours.
I would much rather do that.
Yeah. And it turns out great.
Okay.
Like I do not see enough of a discernible difference to where I'm like, I'm gonna take twice as much time and make this the slow way. The family doesn't see a difference.
Yeah. So why? Why would you?
Why?
I mean, forever.
Time is money. You can cook that way, and that means you can actually go play golf, cook, and spend 8 hours versus just spending 8 hours.
I have started mine at night and then gone to bed.
Yeah.
Wake up the next day and it's still going.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's times
trying to get to that 203 magic number or whatever.
Every piece of meat's different. Like it's gonna. Every piece of protein's different. You might get some that cook super fast, and you're going low and slow, and they just go right through that cook. And other times you'll.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had pork shoulders
Stubborn.
take like 14 hours. I'm like, what is happening? It's crazy.
That's a confidence builder.
No, it's not. Like one of the first
because
times
you're this something's wrong,
right?
But it's not.
Right. No. Right.
I mean, you can't. The thing with the pork shoulder, you just can't really screw it up. It's going to be okay as long as it hits that internal temp, right?
Yep. Yeah, that kind of magic temp of 203.
But sometimes you're like, this thing, I've screwed up somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and the very first time I did pork shoulder for a group of folks, it was like, well, we should be fine to eat at 5, and literally we were eating like at 7:45 because it just would not.
Yeah.
Would not. Fit.
Okay, I'm gonna FaceTime you to do a. What'd you say? Hot and fast.
Yeah.
Hot and fast on the pork shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't have time.
Yep.
All right, I want to switch gears for a minute.
He's got a burning gear to switch.
I've got a burning gear to switch.
Okay.
I want to talk equipment for a minute. Tools of the trade, okay?
Yep.
So, and I want to think about this two different ways. Number one, kind of the cooking apparatus, the grill.
Yep.
I would love to hear your thoughts on okay, if somebody's out there and they're interested in this, but they don't own a grill, how do you approach that? Like, where would you kind of steer somebody on that beginner side? And then also, if somebody's already kind of consistently doing this and maybe they want to up their game a little bit, would you push them in a different direction?
Yeah. It's a great question. I think there's
so many options.
Many.
There are so many options.
That's
and I think
intimidating too.
You can get paralyzed just by choice and not knowing what to do. I think there's a little bit of in the barbecue community, there's people that might look down at a pellet grill and say
like
that
a Traeger would be a popular version, right?
That's less than, or you're not. That's an easy bake oven for grilling. It's kind of the joke. But there's something also about, hey, I can set this. It keeps the temperature for me. I don't want to do this as a second career.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to cook some things for my
Execute
family
it deliciously.
We want to be outside and cooking, want to have that family experience. Like,
I like to plug in.
go get a Traeger.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem with that. I think there's some
When
trade-offs.
I'm retired, maybe I'll go purist.
Yeah. There's some trade-offs that you get. You will not get as deep of a smoke flavor with a pellet grill as you will with a ceramic cooker, an offset cooker,
Yeah.
Something like that. You won't. But you're also not going to babysit that thing.
Yeah.
Like if you get, like my first grill, I was babysitting it all day, had great smoke flavor, but temperature was all over the place. So when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want to get a grill, and people at work will do that, you've done that.
No.
Like, hey,
how much time do you have?
What should I get? What do you want to do? And so, there's the Traeger, the pellet grill. Another option that is automated, has electronic smoke controls, is a gravity-fed smoker. This is what I recommended to you, Chris. I think.
Yeah.
It was a master-built gravity-fed smoker.
And we love it. Yeah,
And so
it's been great.
this uses natural lump charcoal and wood, and still has the benefits of electronic control. So he can go out there, set it to 400, and fire it up, and
Walk
within
away.
7 minutes,
Yeah.
it's at 400, and it's just waiting for him to.
I dial up my app. I can check it from. I can go out, set it, go back in, make a drink, watch a little bit of the game, check my phone. Like, okay, it's there, it's ready. Yeah.
Wow.
And so as far
Made
as
in America.
investments,
It's not made in America.
Okay.
no,
No, it's
and
not.
as far as investments in those cases, whether it's a Traeger or a Masterbuilt, you're probably in that anywhere from 400 for probably a starter baby Traeger to $700 for
Wow.
a Masterbuilt gravity-fed smoker. And there's Traegers that are more expensive. Masterbuilt's kind of top out probably at 8 or 9, something like that. So like that's a good kind of initial option for somebody who's wanting to do some outdoor cooking but doesn't want to do a ton of babysitting or make it a real hobby.
Kind of best of both worlds, where you can kind of get some of that real smoke.
Yep.
Maybe more so with the Masterbuilt than the Traeger.
Right.
But also a lot of convenience built in
Right.
there. Okay.
Right. And it's a step up from the gas grill that you're just
Gotcha.
going out and just hitting it with propane.
Turning
and
on the
flames.
propane. Yeah.
Yep. And then the next step beyond that is probably, it's a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
Where I would go would be kind of a ceramic cooker. And the advantage to these things is you're using natural lump, you're using wood.
No electronics.
No electronics. So there is a little bit of fine tuning. There is definitely some intimidation factor with it.
More art. A lot of science, but a combination of the two, really.
But once, and there's so many YouTube videos about how to dial in every specific cooker to kind of get it to that. You want to do 250. This is how you start it up. This is how you do your fire. But once you get those temperatures set, for the most part, they'll stay lock steady, and they're incredibly efficient. So if Chris fills up his Primo basket with a bunch of charcoal, and he does a 7-hour pork shoulder cook, at the end he shuts those vents down. He goes back the next time, and he still has more than half a basket left of charcoal because it's that efficient. That ceramic keeps the temperature stable, and it takes very little effort to kind of keep that going. So that's on the grill side. Those are kind of the categories: pellet, gravity fed, ceramic is probably how I would, if you're not doing gas.
See, when you say grill side, I immediately think of a gas grill or charcoal grill.
Yeah.
So I would be like those on the smoker side. So
Sure, smoker, cooker, grill, yeah.
So how do you
to
differentiate
me, like
between-
we have a gas grill that I've not used in probably 3.5-4 years.
wow.
Just have not fired.
You're grilling burgers on the Primo.
the Primo
Yeah.
or my outdoor griddle.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a whole other category. Like an outdoor
Yeah.
griddle, like a Blackstone type thing.
Yeah.
I have seen that
Yeah.
on your channel.
Yeah.
That is cool.
The griddle is everybody has to have a griddle.
If
It is
nothing else, just a,
No, here's the thing. You've got a family. Don't say small. Like, no, you need a 28, 36-inch griddle that you can, on a Saturday morning, go out, throw pancakes,
Wow.
eggs, bacon, all on there, cooking it all at once.
Chop it
So
all
you
up,
can't
cheesesteaks.
So you're saying no to the Lodge. It's big, and you put it on your gas range.
I think you're incredibly limited. You're cooking 4 slices of bread, 6 slices maybe at the most. The griddle, that's where I cook
you're
my
like doing hibachi out there.
That's where I cook my Smashburgers. I cook them outside.
Okay.
I just had a picture of him out there with like a hat on,
With
and like,
splitting eggs,
and then like
catching an egg,
throwing
rice.
shrimp in people's mouths.
He's not.
He didn't think that was funny. I thought it was hysterical.
But I do fried
rice.
Fried rice.
I
out
love
there.
it. Love it.
Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, gee.
Oh, see,
I do want to get a Blackstone.
they're not crazy expensive either.
No,
right?
they're not.
I don't know where to put it. They're huge. It's like a hibachi out on your
I don't think they're
back
that
porch.
big.
You're probably fine. You're you're okay.
But don't you think
We've seen Rachel's Instagram feed,
Listen,
bro. Come on.
We know you're not dealing with a 10 by 10 Hollywood deck off the back. Okay.
We can't fit it
I'm
under
just
the
saying.
carport.
I'm just saying. He's the one here over talking about doing pizzas. We've already talked about a smoker, gas grill. You don't use it, but you have one, and a griddle. I mean, you got equipment all over your daggum deck.
It's
and then,
a lot.
And then you got to get your pizza oven.
That's what
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
We had talked about
Gosney,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I have room to put stuff, but
Yeah. The griddle, I think, is my number 2. I mean, it's your.
Okay. So beyond the ceramic, like you're a ceramic guy.
Yep.
But you'd go griddle number 2.
Yeah, without
Okay.
a doubt.
Yeah.
And there's seasons where that griddle becomes number
your
1,
go-to.
and the primos are like, hey,
Remember
me,
me, Joe?
Remember me?
Hey, Joe, we had some good times.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a
Still got
loco griddle.
Yeah.
And they're a great company.
I love Loco.
okay. I have a turkey fryer.
Yeah, I
from
do
Loco.
too. I do
Yep.
too.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
They do a
See,
lot
we're
of
further
great,
along, we think.
great outdoor stuff. So
All right.
Okay. What about give us 3 to 5 of those top tools of the trade beyond like cooking?
You wear an apron.
It could be.
yeah, I do.
You do?
I don't think it's not necessary, but you feel kind of cool in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you look kind of cool in it too,
Yeah.
right?
It feels
Yeah.
like it tastes better with an
Yeah,
apron.
Yeah.
I like that.
And you know, shockingly, my wife likes the look, so it's great.
Hey,
It's great.
Hey-o.
Really?
Yeah, but mine's leather, so it's
Oh,
Jeez.
Yeah.
it's a Littleton, isn't it?
yeah, it's a Colonel Littleton.
How did I know that?
It's great.
You have been doing it for 12 years, so.
Yeah. And you know, and through, I tell you what, like I've been very fortunate through the Instagram that I have, and
Which,
some
by the way, we should plug that. May the smoke be with you. It's kind of a combination.
nobody's listening still at this point of the episode.
Kind of a
but-
combination, but we haven't mentioned that
If
yet.
you are,
like
thank you for-
you've kind of taken two fun passions,
Yeah.
barbecue and Star Wars.
Grew up as a fan of Star Wars,
and
right?
combine them into this "May the smoke be with you." That's like, you know, you're known as Joda.
Yeah, yeah.
on there.
Is that what
Joda.
he calls you when you FaceTimes you?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he does some. Joe doesn't need help. I do.
Joda. Cook, but I can. I can't.
Can't.
I actually can't.
Yeah.
And a lot of great
okay.
videos, and you're talking about like how to do things.
So yeah,
a bunch of great content.
I've had
there.
because I've been doing this for a few years. You know, folks like Colonel Littleton were part of a giveaway that I do, and so they gave away an apron, and I got one too. And so you know, they're very fortunate that I've had a lot of
That's cool.
stuff like that.
I've always wanted one. I just
So I think you
don't
know,
feel. I haven't thrown
tools-
my cook down into the fire yet.
Shout out Colonel Littleton.
tools of the
Colonel.
trade. Instant read thermometer.
Yeah, number
Even
one.
if you don't get a probe thermometer, if you know, and you can get those super cheap. I mean, Thermopin's a great one. It's out there. It's probably the best, trusted by chefs, all that. But you can also get one for $14 on Amazon and have it tomorrow.
But you got to be able to tell what the
What your
internal
temperature is,
on that meat
right.
is. Yeah.
Yep. So get a good thermometer. Apron is great. I think the next thing that I would want to make sure that I invest in is knives, like having really good knives, and not just like, hey, we got this block
Like
of
Cutco?
knives. Got this block of knives for our wedding. And they just sit on our counter, and I pull it out. And
Pampered chef? Like,
I
what are we
yeah,
talking
pampered
about?
chef. Yeah, that's exactly exactly what I would do. But you know, just having a good chef's knife, a good utility smaller knife, whether it's a paring knife, but probably just something a little bigger than a paring gives you could help you with the trimming, take off some of the fat on some of those, or a boning knife would be great. But and I'm big on Montana Knife Company right now. Those guys are great.
They make some
American
beautiful
made.
stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff, not cheap. It's the kind of stuff that you let your spouse, let your family know, like, hey, I'm looking at one of these.
It's
like,
an investment.
This would be a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
You know, drop the hint.
Oh, I thought you were
Montana.
going to say these are mine. You can't touch them, like your toothbrush. You know.
No, I
something.
tell you, like they're so sharp. The family is scared of them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the opposite. A dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife in a lot of ways. But In the last 2 weeks, Julie was cutting with one of those knives, and she was like, "Oh my word, this is so
just like butter,
nice."
Yeah.
Like she was like, She was like, "I get it now. Like this is so nice." So Montana Knife Company, they're lifetime warranted, and they'll sharpen the knives for free for the lifetime of the knife as well. So
Shout out Montana Knife Company.
Shout out to Montana in general.
Yeah, great.
Never
great.
been.
Me
neither.
But we probably should go. We probably should go and see Josh Smith there at Montana Knife Company.
Yeah, he's not Southern. We could adopt him.
Yeah.
And
I think he's Southern
That's a
at
whole
heart.
other thing.
I think it is. Yeah. Anyway,
He makes knives.
Yeah, listen.
He
I
gets
mean, like
he gets a pass.
this is an aside thing.
Master Bladesmith.
I've actually we've not talked about this, but I've thought about this. Like, oh, do we have to just the people that we have on? Do they have to always come
It's
from
not
the South? And I go,
geographical.
No. Like we're the Southern gentlemen.
It's a
and
spirit.
we're trying to.
You're
get better,
trying to
but
get-
anybody could
Yeah.
sit there.
like for
and
me,
talk
like
to us about things.
I had Josh on my podcast and great conversation, but like where we didn't get was like, how do you sharpen knives? Like, like that's another thing as a guy that I feel like you should be able to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do, and I feel like I'm kind of like I'm a little bit of an idiot because I don't know how to do. But I should know how to sharpen a knife.
I just found out
you
the
are
other
an
day
idiot.
there's a difference between honing a knife and sharpening the knife.
I wouldn't know that myself either. So is honing like the knife is sharp, but you're just keeping
Honing is that steel stick that comes with it.
with your
And you see-
wedding gift.
Right. Well, all that does is keep the blade straight. And then you got to get a knife thing that you like pull it through, that has like the X in it.
I learned how to sharpen a pocket knife years ago by watching YouTube. And,
Okay.
and there's a sharpening stone that
Like a whetstone?
Yeah, well, it's not a whetstone. I mean, we use a dry stone, but you lay it down and like there's a specific way that you drag the
It's
blade.
like WHET. So, I thought you were making a joke.
That's how much
It's not actually wet.
No, I was not making a joke. I'm just completely ignorant about what it's called.
a dry. Winston,
He just
step back.
completely seriously said,
Bro,
It's a dry stone.
No, actually, ours is dry.
Dude,
you
here's
don't
the-
have to run a hose over
Here's
it.
the funny part. When you said, oh, whetstone, I went, in my mind, that was not wet. That's so dumb. I'm like, why would you think it's wet?
Yeah, you came back at me like, no. Mine's dry. It usually might be wet.
Stay in your lane, not a whetstone.
No,
completely dry.
Link
Anyway,
it.
you're dragging the blade, at least for a pocket knife, if I can remember correctly. Like you're dragging the blade along the whetstone at a particular, trying to keep an angle, and like moving it down and away at an angle as well. So you're holding the blade at an angle, and then you're drawing it at an angle. That's the best I can remember. But I haven't sharpened a pocket knife in a long time.
Yeah.
We should be better at that.
So I would say, your thermometer, apron,
Sharp
knife.
Knives.
And then I think, for me, it's, I would want one or two really good pieces of like cast iron cookware that you can cook inside or out with, both on the grill or on the stovetop, in the oven. So versatile, non-toxic, Bobby approved, all that stuff.
Lasts generations.
Lasts forever.
Who's Bobby?
Bobby approved.
Yeah, there's a guy on Facebook. Have you know Bobby approved?
I am not on any of that, but I know it because of Rachel.
Okay, yeah. So it's just a guy who does like
My
like
mom
basi-
has started saying, "Is it Bobby approved?"
Yeah, it's very catchy.
Never heard
He's
of this.
now because we've said it, he'll probably show up on your feed tonight.
Oh,
Oh,
my
sure.
phone's definitely listening.
Yeah, but it is like 60, 90-second videos of like healthier choices you can make. Like you go to Costco and don't buy this because it has natural flavors, and natural flavors could mean anything. But this one over here has actual lime juice. That makes it Bobby approved.
Yeah.
But, and it's a phrase now.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I'm going to have to go look this up.
Yeah.
Cast iron
Sounds
is
like a
Bobby
blast.
approved.
because there's no toxins.
No Teflon.
Yeah.
Yep, all that stuff. So I mean, really, you don't need much.
I'll
Like,
tell you
it's-
one thing I love. I love my heat glove.
Yeah.
I like a glove.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a
you're-
glove? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you wear it?
I mean, all the time. I mean, once I
Okay.
get home, it's like, no.
He gets home from a long day at work.
It's like,
Honey,
Is it a dry glove or a wet glove?
you want to have a little wine? Let me get my glove on.
You have it in your pocket right now.
It's a dry glove. Everybody knows that, Winston. Golly.
I'm just going to add to your list, Link it. It's a really helpful thing when it's hot
yes,
and you're trying to maneuver something, or you're grabbing a cast iron, you're grabbing a pan. Whatever.
absolutely. Yeah.
But you got to have it's got to be
Fingered.
Yeah, it's got to be like
Yep.
what was it's got to be mobile. I don't know.
You must be dexterous.
Dexterous.
Yeah.
Yes.
You must have the ability to have some dexterity.
All right.
So I mean, I feel like the good thing about grilling, cooking outdoors, the barrier to entry is pretty low. Could you cook without an instant read? Yes, Chris did it for years. Like not well, but you could do it. Can you do it without an apron? Absolutely. But it comes in handy when you have a place for your pen, a place for your glove, a place for a towel that you need handy. Like,
and it keeps mess off of you. Like if
keeps
something
mess,
pops up,
sure.
yeah.
No
like,
popping.
but it's not necessary. Like I would say, a good knife, like a Montana knife, isn't needed. You can get by with the knives you have around, but it makes things a lot easier. It makes when you're trimming that large piece of meat and getting that fat off, and I mean, a good knife will go a long way.
Yeah.
So.
I love
Brisket for the brisket. We're headed towards wrapping this up, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I love it.
But any other bonus
Pro
equipment?
tips, bonus content. Just we're sitting at your feet. Just imagine we're just sitting at your feet,
Sitting at your grill.
and you are the great Joda
You're feeding us little tri-tip pieces, just flipping it to us.
with your hibachi.
Open up. Just put it on the tip of my
And
Montana knife company.
you're like knocking
just
the
tossing it
little
to you.
spatula, like ding ding, flip. Like that, ding ding.
Yeah.
Flip.
I don't think. I mean, we've said a lot of things. I can't imagine I have much else to say. But it's, I think it is. Do not be intimidated by it.
Ugh.
Make mistakes. You're going to. I still have cooks that don't turn out. I still ruin protein. Like those things happen. They're going to happen far less frequently the more you get to do it. It's a great hobby. You're around your family. The byproduct is you sit down as a family and you eat together. And they get to hopefully enjoy it. And wouldn't it be great if they start requesting your food and you're not going out as much and they want you to cook ribs, or hey, why don't you make steak this week? Yeah, absolutely. Like let's do that. And wouldn't it be nice if your wife was like, you make the best steak.
Yeah.
We just went to whatever
amazing.
steakhouse and
I love when you eat it with your apron on.
yes, and she
Some-
says that.
something like
yeah.
that. And then
Yeah,
you-
yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Like one day we're not going to be here. Hopefully, our children outlive us that we
Yep.
go before, and they will go, man, Dad, you remember the Smashburgers he made? Like that was always a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we would say, Dad, can you cook us some Smashburgers? You're like, yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could actually go out and deliver something that was
There's
fantastic.
power
you know?
with food and the memories that it can create.
Absolutely.
My 7-year-old's favorite food is steak. It's the funniest thing.
That's
It's
a
the
man
funniest
in
thing.
training.
She loves it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, not the boy. Never mind. That's not a man in training. When you said my oldest loves steak, for some reason I went to a boy. I went, man in training.
I thought
It's a girl.
I thought you were talking about the dad training
No.
the child. All that. Yeah.
Memories make you will.
All right, we got a quote of the week. Do you have a quote of the
I
week?
got a
William?
quote of the week.
Oh.
You want to do tip? We always do a quote of the week and a tip of the week.
I love it.
A tri-tip.
You want me to go first with my quote?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good one. I picked this one specifically for this episode.
Oh.
Joe, do you know Myron Mixon?
Yeah.
Okay, so Myron Mixon said this. Are you familiar with Myron?
Nope.
Barbecue legend.
Myron is considered to be the most winningest man in barbecue. 5-time world barbecue champion.
I would have guessed
based out of
meathead.
but you would have guessed what?
Meathead.
Which is another
Amazing Ribs.
I don't even know who Meathead is.
AmazingRibs.com. Yeah.
Okay, I had no idea. I thought you were just making up.
That's the
joke.
only one I know.
Link it.
But Myron lives in Virginia, I think. And here's what he said, which I thought this was really good when I ran across it. Barbecue is the poetry of the South. It is its own art form. I thought that was pretty good.
That's like a Southern Shakespeare
Yeah,
right there.
yeah. I mean, because you got barbecue, you got the South, you got art, you got
it all.
You got it all.
It's poetry. man.
So pitmaster Myron Mixon said that. I thought it was fun.
Great one.
thank you.
Mine was cooking themed as well. This is something that you got to think about. So I didn't realize that food actually continues cooking after the cook is over. Right?
Correct.
So
Carryover cooking. Yeah.
eggs, if you're going to scramble them,
scrambled eggs, yeah.
when you cut the heat, they're actually going to like dry up even more. So if you cook them to the point where you're like, I like that texture of egg, and you cut the heat, it's going to continue to dry out more.
Get a little rubbery, maybe.
My question is that the same with a steak? I've heard let it rest, let it rest, let it rest, let it rest. How long do you let a steak rest?
About 10 minutes.
And that just lets it all
contracts, right?
Yeah,
the juices actually go back in.
Yes. Yep.
And, fascinating.
Yeah, and then and you cut it and it'll still be so incredibly juicy, and it won't be cold. It'll be perfect.
Right. Yeah. My tip: let it rest.
Let it rest.
Let it rest.
You got to think about that.
And that goes across all cooks. I mean, there is, with the exception of Smashburger, eat that right away.
Yeah, go ahead and get that on. That's a fast one.
Yeah, and most griddle cooking, you're not going to need to let rest. But whether it's
I foil my pork shoulder, wrap a towel around it, and put it in a cooler.
Yep.
And dude, I get that thing out maybe an hour, 2 hours later, and it's still just like piped hot. But I think it really helps break down and tenderize it a lot.
No, for sure. And whether it's pork shoulder, brisket, the hold is critical. The hold. And on those larger cuts of meat, that rest is a lot longer.
Okay.
Because it's more meat to kind of get through. Now you can take a pork shoulder, pull it off, and that time that I told you that we were supposed to eat at 5 and we ate at 7:45, like it was pull it off and we're gonna eat. Like it's going right away.
Yeah,
like, you can do that.
Right.
But you also, I think, you miss an opportunity for a little bit more flavor and moisture.
I think this has been fantastic.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go home.
I've learned a lot.
And
probably for you guys, I would say easy top 5 episode, right?
Oh, without it, I would say
100%.
top 3. I would say top 3.
All right.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. He'll be top 4.
Okay, good.
Definitely.
Good.
Definitely top 4. But I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel a little empowered.
Good.
To go.
I mean, and
I'm less intimidated.
I love the timing of this, that you guys, I mean, you're releasing this in November. It's getting to be grilling season. It's perfect timing.
Are you being for real?
No.
It's going to get cold outside.
It's hot as blazes outside.
It is hot.
I haven't even felt the fall yet. I don't want to go cook right now.
No, it is. It's great. But,
Hey, holidays,
Holidays, yeah.
Let's get some family fed.
Yeah.
Joe, this has been fun. If somebody out there is watching this for some wild reason.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, they want to learn more about you. They think you're interesting. They want to see some of your content, learn some things.
Sure.
How can they find you?
Just Instagram, Facebook at May the Smoke Be With You. And then the May the Smoke Be With You podcast as well.
I love it. And how often do you put out your podcast?
Interestingly enough, we're in a little bit of a hiatus.
Oh,
we have over 50 episodes I think out right now.
Wow, that's fun. Wow.
So there's a lot of content to get through, and I'm just trying to figure out what I really want this podcast to be.
Yeah.
It's conversations with people, and most of them in the barbecue space. Not talking techniques, more just talking their stories, why they love barbecue, live fire cooking.
Yeah.
But just trying to figure out. Because I've done some episodes like with Josh Smith, owner of Montana Knife Company, and want to kind of see what this podcast should be.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that. All right. Check Joe out, everybody. And
thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Joe.
Absolutely.
Love
Winston,
both you guys.
You want to take us out?
Joe, thanks for being here. Keep coming back, y'all.